Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. The host of the Mindless Midnight Show would like to welcome you to their latest episode full of late-night humor as we explore just about anything with our very special guest. Without further ado, here are your hosts, Nick and Josh.
Warning, some of the contents of this podcast may be found offensive. This podcast is not for the weak, lack of experience, and common sense, including children, unless they have been given permission.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Mindless Midnight Show. Today we have Brendan Black. He's a host of a podcast called Talk Ag to Me, and it's an agriculture podcast, which is awesome because I feel like a lot of us don't really know a lot about agriculture, and it's a really good way to learn. So, Brendan, how are you, man?
Doing pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, dude. We're really glad that you're here. So tell us about your show.
Yeah, for sure. So I started my show back in April 2018. So I've been running it for almost 3 years now. And it kind of started as a project for a couple of friends and I just to kind of mess around with. We were all seniors in high school and we were doing clubs and we were learning a lot in our agriculture classes. And we just had a lot of information stuck in our heads because we were doing speaking teams and we were officers. So we were really involved in leadership and that kind of stuff. So we were required to know a ton about agriculture so we could teach others about it. And that kind of, overloaded our brains a bit. So, since our parents were tired of listening to us rant about ag, we basically started the podcast as a way of just, sitting around a table, just talking about ag issues. And over time that evolved. They both moved off and went to college. I went to community college, so I stayed in my hometown. And I just started interviewing farmers and other, industry professionals around the area. And I started to notice that the issue that I was addressing in the podcast wasn't really being answered by podcasts. I wanted it to be a way of teaching people who don't really know much about about agriculture more about where their food comes from, and it just wasn't really happening. It's mostly reaching just farmers. So it's like a podcast by farmers for farmers, which is great, but it wasn't really my ideal audience. So right around the time where all the shutdowns started happening, I decided to, at that time I was on a 4 or 5 month break from my podcast. I almost considered quitting it, but I was like, you know what? I got nothing else going on. School was shut down. I might as well take this time to start working on the project again. And so I reached out, went on Reddit, went on Discord, went on a few other platforms, and I started connecting with people who didn't know anything about agriculture, but were really interested and had some good questions. And I started bringing them on the show instead. Nice. And so then it became, more of a conversation between somebody who knows about the industry and somebody who has questions about it. So I could answer their questions and, do that kind of dynamic. And it's been really, really successful ever since.
That's awesome. So is it considered, would it be considered like almost unusual for somebody really young? Like I would consider you young. I'm 30. I would still consider you relatively young to get into agriculture, like to the point to where you'll start a show for it.
Oh, absolutely.
You said senior in high school. I don't think any high schoolers give a shit about what's going on.
No, right? I'm like, holy shit, that's awesome though. And it's also cool to like know what you want to, like, that's your thing. And that like right away, essentially. That's cool. That is cool.
Definitely. I mean, and agriculture is something that we're having a really hard time getting young people into. I was part of a youth leadership program in high school called FFA, and that's really centered around getting kids involved in agriculture. But even then, the kids that are involved until they graduate, and then they just, it's just behind them, which, exactly. That's fine. I don't think they should be stuck in their high school days by any means, but when you have people who their entire life during high school was agriculture and then they just forget about all of it as soon as they graduate, it kind of defeats the purpose. So
yeah, absolutely.
Just to give you a random statistic that I like to throw at people, the average age of the American farmer is about 58 and he's getting older. So it's not something that younger people are getting into. We are seeing a somewhat decent surge of newer generation farmers coming in that are developing new technology and they're adapting new methods and that kind of thing, which is great. But the rate at which young people are getting involved in agriculture is way too slow for us to be able to have a sufficient replacement generation.
I believe that.
I do too.
So,
that's scary. It's a big problem.
Just real quick before we dive so much further, could you give us like a brief description of like what agriculture is for any of our listeners that don't know exactly what that is?
Yeah, for sure. So typically when somebody thinks of agriculture, they may think of just farms, somebody in overalls going out into a field, checking on their crops, milking their cow, whatever comes to mind. But that is kind of it's kind of an old-fashioned view of agriculture. Agriculture today is much broader than that. It actually is more than just farming anymore. Now, things like mining or lumber or, basically anything that involves the cultivation of natural resources and using it for, non-natural processes is considered agriculture. So mining, cutting down trees to make wood, even fishing, those kinds of things are considered agriculture. There's actually industries involved with agriculture that people don't even think about, like computer science, technology, invention, science, research. I actually have a friend who's a dairy geneticist, so she studies the genetics of cows all day.
Dang.
Like there's a lot of complexity in agriculture. I mean, agriculture is one of the most technologically advanced industries in the world, and people don't even tend to realize that we use technology in it. We have tractors that are self-driving. We have artificial intelligence systems that can monitor our fields and tell us if there's issues going on. We have drones being used in the industry. So there's a lot of complexity in agriculture that people tend to not think about in their everyday lives. It's just, it's not just food goes from farm to fork and that's all there is to it. There's a lot in between there.
I bet your friend gets free. I bet your friend gets free milk.
I think they hook her up.
Yeah, I bet. That's cool.
I gotta say, I love the idea because I for a point in time I worked at Disney and I got to work around Epcot, and there was a particular area called the Land where basically you ride this entire boat and you see all the ways that they've invented, or not invented, but they do growing of crops like hydroponics and things like that. And it's actually really cool. And I actually have an arrow garden on my table, growing little herbs for myself. Because
nice.
Yeah, so, the dogs ruined our crops. We're no longer able to have our peppers.
Put them down, bro.
I thought about it.
So a question now. I can't wait for this. So in my industry, I'm a plumber, and we actually have a very similar thing happening in our industry where there's not young people getting into it at all. So like some of the average ages of licensed plumbers are like in their 40s and 50s. And like you said, they're getting older as well. So with technology becoming what it is in the agriculture industry, do you think that as technology gets better and better and better, that there will be the need for less farmers because machines can do more of it? So almost like...
I wouldn't think so.
Almost like you don't need, like, if there's 10 farmers that retire, you only need like 5 to take the place of those 10 because now you have technology doing so much more than what was done before.
So I think that to a degree that's true. We don't necessarily need as many farmers as we used to. And that's why whenever I advocate for people to learn more about agriculture, I'm not doing it so we can get more farmers in the field.
Okay. I
think that the main purpose behind getting people educated around the subject is so that way they are not, necessarily, they're not... Basically the problem right now is that people are opposing agriculture for reasons that they're not aware of. They're like, let's just take people who, they eat specific diets, for example, that eating a specific diet, making those purchasing decisions will influence the markets of how that type of agriculture works. So people who are refusing to eat food that has a certain label on it will cause ramifications on the people who put those labels on that food or people who grow food that would be labeled in that way. So really it's about just changing the idea on how we grow food so people don't have a negative stigma towards agriculture. As I'm not going to say that, most people are opposed to agriculture because I don't think that's true, but the people who are opposed to agriculture are really, really loud about it. The people who are trying to shut down farms or they're trying to shut down modern forms of agriculture because either they don't trust it or they think it's inhumane or, whatever the reason is.
Yeah.
So bringing more awareness to those areas is kind of the primary purpose. It's less so to get more people into agriculture, but more just to raise an appreciation for it. That way we can kind of band together and help make sure that the farmers we do have stay there and that we do maintain the farms that we're losing to urban sprawl and that kind of stuff.
Okay. That makes sense. And also we need more bees.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, that's like a huge problem. Like even dumb asses like me know that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I would have to say though, I feel it's so much easier for people to look at a documentary of like cows, animals, all these things being slaughtered, and oh, it's so bad. Put Sarah McLachlan's soundtrack in the background, but nobody wants to take the time to actually learn about what's really going on in the process. And so, I mean, it's definitely cool to have this opportunity to have you here and talk about this, because I'm all for it. My wife and I, we were talking the other day about it's baffling to us that places like neighborhoods and things aren't made with like either community, like type of livestock, not livestock, but like crops.
Yeah.
Or that each house has like some type of like just a square, like you don't need too much space to like grow enough crops to live off, or like something sustainable, or I would say live off. But I mean, I got people I know in Texas that are doing things like that, and it makes me excited. I want to do stuff like that.
Yeah, no, there's actually some moves right now towards that in the Chicago area. They were trying to build a farm called the Pegasus Project, and it was basically like a 100-acre farm right in the middle of Chicago. And the purpose of it was supposed to teach, inner city kids about where their food comes from and how to cultivate the land and how to take care of animals. And I think that's awesome. Stuff like that it should be more encouraged. Having more community gardens, or at least having more of a community effort to bring more awareness to those types of things. Maybe the community can't afford to have a garden or a farm of that kind, but at least if the education is there, then that's a good step forward.
Yeah.
I don't think necessarily that it's like, agriculture is kind of it's a big topic to get into, because there's so many different aspects you can take away from it. And people often fear that, if they're getting into agriculture, that they are going to be excluded because they don't know enough. Well, that's kind of a silly reason to not get involved in agriculture, because nobody knows everything there is to know about agriculture. That's just, that's like saying everyone, you don't want to get into science because you're not going to know enough. Like, that's just something that, like if somebody raises dairy, they're not going to know anything about chickens, and the chickens people aren't going to know anything about corn, and the corn people aren't going to know anything about pumpkins. Like, you have to have, variety in your area, but you don't necessarily have to know everything there is to know about agriculture to get involved in it. And so I think, incorporating agriculture into urban areas is possibly one of the best things we can do. It's just, until we get to that point, I'm just going to, stand on my corner with my sign and preach my message.
Man, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, I mean that's the best way to do it, especially with the internet and everything we have now to like push information and push ideas out. It's perfect, especially whenever you come on other podcasts, and then everybody cross promotes, and everybody's usually pretty friendly in the podcasting world. So you can
absolutely. I've made some great friends in the podcasting area through this, and I have a pure transparency policy with my podcast. So I don't hold anything back. If anyone has a question, even if it's kind of a difficult question in terms of, efficacy, or if it's a hard topic, I, answer it full, to the best of my ability. I'll tell you my beliefs, and that they're my beliefs, not necessarily the absolute fact. I'll tell you that, anything that I research, I do tons of research, but it doesn't mean I'm an expert. So anything I say might be wrong, but it's to what I've been able to find with my research. So any questions you guys have, fire away.
Well, that's
Brendan, we need some more fucking people like you on this earth, man.
Yeah, man, for real. Yeah,
I don't think people have that principle anymore. And man, that was just so refreshing to hear. I almost got chubby up.
well, I was gonna say, damn it, Josh, you said what you said, and now I don't know what I'm trying to say.
I know, it's the fact that I was talking about me getting shoved up.
Yeah, I know. It always gets me when you do that. It always gets me. I was gonna say that's why we titled our show the Mindless Morning Show and the Mindless Midnight Show, because we know some things, but we always have that little disclaimer of like, we might be fucking wrong though. So we don't know everything. So now a question for you then.
Okay.
Are they poisoning our food?
No. I'll tell you that right now. And my number one, I've been asked that question, 100 times, and that's,
I bet.
I answer the same way every time. The farmers that are growing your food are eating the same food. So it doesn't make any sense for them to poison it, because their family has to eat it too, and they'd be poisoning their own family.
So what's all this talk of Monsanto? What do you know of Monsanto? Because that seems to be the big demon of like that realm.
So the Monsanto controversy is one that I'm somewhat new to. It's been going on for some time now, but I always kind of heard about it growing up. I didn't really know the details until recently. To the best of my ability, from what I can understand, is most of the lawsuits against Monsanto are due to basically Monsanto was releasing, a pesticide called Roundup, which is very high in glyphosate, and glyphosate is an incredibly dangerous chemical. So I'm going to say, just for the record, that I personally haven't found a whole lot of evidence suggesting the danger of glyphosate, but it's said to be dangerous. So I'm going by the lawsuit's claim that people are suing the company for developing cancer after being exposed to this pesticide. Now, I'll tell you both sides of it. On the one hand, yes, we do over pesticide just a bit. There are some fields that are oversprayed. There are some farmers who overindulge in pesticides. And I think that our use of pesticides is something that needs to be worked on, and that's kind of one of the advantages to what we've been doing with genetic modification, which Monsanto is also working on. Monsanto no longer exists, by the way. They were split into different companies.
Oh, wow.
The company still exists that made up Monsanto, but Monsanto itself was destroyed through the lawsuits and all that. But the research that they put in was, while it potentially was causing some issues, it was definitely doing a lot of good too. So I'm not going to sit here and preach that one side or the other is right or wrong. I'll just say that the lawsuits were over people supposedly getting cancer after exposed to this pesticide, but I'm confused about how that happened in particular, because there hasn't really been any reports that I've seen, at least, that relate pesticides to causing cancer, or at least not through consuming the food. I mean, if you're in the field and you get sprayed, that's a different story than if you're eating the food in a restaurant or after buying it from the store and getting cancer. That doesn't seem to be a correlation at all because of how deeply they have to clean the food before it reaches the store. Now, if the lawsuits are over people who live near the fields that get sprayed, or if people are working in the fields and they get sprayed, I think that's a bit of a different situation. That's a conversation that's worth having. But as far as I know, that's the main controversy surrounding Monsanto.
Okay. Shit.
Yeah, I couldn't say I actually know too much about them. I just know like they're the ones that are the devils of the agriculture world. And I think that was Alex's Jones' big target there when he's talking about turning the frogs gay and things like that.
Josh, I thought you were bringing up a cartel.
Oh, I'd try.
The Monsanto cartel.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, this is weird.
So I want to know if maybe you know this, because now that you bring that up, so are avocados mainly like that whole, like, I guess crop of that, because it's mainly from like the Mexico region, are those mainly owned by the cartel? That's what I heard.
Avocados?
Internet said it has to be true.
Right?
I mean, well, yeah, that's all you have to say is it was on, if it was on Facebook, then it's definitely fact.
Absolutely.
But I actually haven't heard that, so I'm not entirely sure on that one. I do know that California grows a ton of avocados. I'm from California. I don't know if I mentioned that, but yeah, we have a ton of avocados here. So all the ones grown here, I know aren't shipped by the cartel, but I don't know what goes on down in Mexico in terms of their avocado situation. So I really couldn't tell you.
Well, that would be interesting to know.
It's that Monsanto guy. Like, man, Nick just doesn't get it.
I'll have to do some research on that and I'll get back to you.
Yeah, that's cool.
Good deal.
That is cool.
So
You get the Josh. No, you go.
There's so many forms of agriculture, and are you more so drawn towards all of it as a broad spectrum, or certain key factors of it?
It's a good question. So I grew up in Tulare, California, which is a dairy, it's a dairy town. We have dairies as far as I can see. You can't walk around the corner without either seeing or smelling a dairy. Nice. So I grew up around animal agriculture. I raised cattle in high school. I was involved in FFA. I showed cattle at the county fair. My sister raised horses her entire life. She still to this day trains horses for a living. So I'm very, very close with animals. Animals have always been something I've been really interested in, especially animal behavior and human behavior. And so I would say that the animal agriculture side really interests me. But all of it's really interesting to me because it's all science. I'm a big science nerd. So I've studied all of it, in depth, and I like a decent amount of all of the different aspects of it, but more specifically animal agriculture is kind of the side of it that I kind of lean towards the most, especially the beef industry and the dairy industry. But I mean, GMOs, I've done a good amount of research on. I've done a good amount of research on, organic agriculture versus conventional agriculture. I've done stuff on, new agricultural technology and new even agricultural methods like regenerative agriculture. So like I know all of that stuff, but my heart's always going to be with the beef and dairy industry.
Nice.
I do love my beef. I love steak.
Yeah, he's a steak eater. Oh, yeah. So I guess I heard, well, I haven't tried it, but I've heard that if a human goes up on their roof and they get naked and lay on the roof, they can photosynthesize.
I'm going to say it's inaccurate.
Okay.
Even if like exposing the butthole to the sun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Andrew, if you're listening, there's your answer, bro. We were talking about that a few days ago. So we can't.
Photosynthesis is a function of plants that requires a certain kind of ingredient in their cell that humans just don't have access to. So
Not even in your butt, Andrew.
We're missing chromosomes.
Okay. Oh, that's awesome. So if you're into nerdy stuff, we are as well. Like we're developing a video game together and we're nerdy as hell. So
love that.
What are some other nerdy things that you're into?
So I'm a big Star Wars nerd, massive Star Wars nerd. I mean, like I've watched, all the movies, Clone Wars, Rebels, Mandalorian, all of it. I'm like,
even the animated?
Oh yeah, all of it.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's dedication.
When I met my girlfriend, she'd just seen the movies and now she's hooked on all of it too because I got her hooked. I'm a big video game nerd. I'm playing through all of the Assassin's Creed and all the Kingdom Hearts right now.
Cool.
I played all kinds of actually. So it's something my girlfriend and I built.
What? Whoa, that's kick ass.
Yeah.
All right. For those of you not watching on YouTube, it's a badass replica of Boba Fett's helmet in Legos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Star Wars is a big thing for me. I mean, like Harry Potter, all that kind of stuff. Like your typical movie, superheroes, MCU, Marvel, DC. Like I'm more of a DC fan, but I do like Marvel. I like the Marvel movies better than the DC movies because the DC movies are garbage. But
most people have that same. Yeah.
I will say that recently. Because I grew up playing card games like Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon and all that kind of stuff. I still play Pokemon like the video games, but I very recently learned how to play the Pokemon TCG and Magic the Gathering. So I've been playing a ton of that lately. I actually like right before we started recording, I was practicing with a couple decks that I built. So I was just messing around with that because I was bored. I don't know. I mean, I'm into all kinds of nerdy stuff. It kind of depends. I mean. The one nerdy thing I will say that I have not gotten into yet, just because I haven't seen it, is Lord of the Rings.
You'll love it. You'll love it.
That's what
you will love it.
My girlfriend's been trying to get me to watch it, and I just haven't had the time yet.
Well,
but I will.
Yeah, you definitely.
So how you feel about Star Wars is how I am with Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, like that whole. I love it. I love that. That's my favorite type of realm. But
awesome.
Yeah,
and Guildmaster. That realm is insane. That's the video game that we're making.
That's awesome.
Which does have a shitload of lore. But anyways,
nice.
That's awesome. Yeah, I highly recommend it. Definitely.
So all right, you said Marvel was your favorite or DC's your favorite? You just like the Marvel movies?
I like the Marvel movies better, but I like the DC stories better.
So who would be your favorite superhero or villain or anti-hero or whatever you want to call them?
So are we going DC or everything?
Everything, all wide.
Out of everything, Green Lantern's my favorite hero.
Really?
Wow.
John Stewart Green Lantern. Hal Jordan's a little whiny and Kyle Rayner's a little whiny. But I love John Stewart Green Lantern. I don't know why. I guess just because he rebuilt an entire planet with his ring. I thought that was pretty cool. So I love the Green Lantern lore, all of the different lanterns, the White Lantern, Blackest Night, all of those stories. I absolutely loved those growing up. My favorite color is green. So it kind of was I was like, I'll go with the green guy. And then I ended up falling in love with the Green Lantern stories. I was never like, I loved the Flash CW show, but I was never a big Flash fan until I watched that. So I like the Flash now, but he was never like a big favorite of mine for a long time. I absolutely love Shazam. Shazam is one of my favorites forever.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
like my top two are Green Lantern, Shazam. I mean, that's like they've been like that since I was a little kid. Like I've always loved Green Lantern, Shazam. And then as far as villains go, I don't know why I've always loved Scarecrow. I think Scarecrow is the coolest DC villain.
Scarecrow is badass, man.
Honestly, he's like the top in as all villains just because of his ability,
he made a fear bomb.
Basing on fear. That's the biggest thing. That's what a villain is supposed to be, essentially. Right. The embodiment of fear, and that's what he does.
I mean, he became a Yellow Lantern too, so that's also pretty cool. But I
did not know that.
I didn't either.
It was really cool. They had like a whole thing where like everyone got a ring, and it was like Batman had like 3 of them, and it was because of course it's Batman, he has to have everything. But I can't remember. I know like
because he lost everything.
Right. He had like a yellow ring, a green ring, and a red ring or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, Flash got a blue ring. So I would say that if we're talking overall every universe, like my top 3 heroes are Green Lantern, Shazam, then Doctor Strange. And then like top 3 villains, I'd probably go Scarecrow, Ultron, and I don't know who my last one would be. I like Red Skull a lot. I think Red Skull is really cool.
Mm-hmm. I'm almost amazed you didn't say Joker. Actually, I'm really amazed you didn't say Joker.
Is he too mainstream?
Yeah.
I'm not the kind of he's too mainstream, so I don't like him type. But I like Joker, but my best friend, his favorite character is Joker, and so he's everything about him has been Joker our entire life, so I'm kind of burnt out on Joker. So because I was always like, oh yeah, Scarecrow's super cool, but he's like, no, I'm Joker, and I was like, okay, dude. So I kind of just got burnt out on Joker. I think he's really cool. I think that his concept is really cool, especially the whole Red Hood story. But I don't know. He might be like top 5, but he's definitely in the top 3 for me.
So I feel like more people would like the Green Lantern more if they dug into his actual stories. Because his ability is amazing. I've argued
the movie was awful.
Agreed, and which was disappointing because I love Ryan Reynolds, but it just was not. It just wasn't there. I love the shot that took out it in Deadpool though. That was perfect.
Yes, like his little card in the wallet.
Yes. But no, I think that Green Lantern. I think because of his movie, he gets a lot more hate than he deserves. Because if they explored like one of the better Hal Jordan storylines, because Hal Jordan arguably is the Green Lantern. Like you can have Jon Stewart or Kyle Rayner or any of the other ones. Hal Jordan is the Green Lantern. I mean, Jon Stewart's my favorite Green Lantern, but I acknowledge that Hal Jordan is the main Green Lantern, and he has one of the coolest storylines out of any DC superhero, in my opinion. Because I don't know if you guys know the Parallax storyline with Hal Jordan. Not the one from the movie though. The one, so his entire city was destroyed, and he asked the Guardians if he can rebuild it, and they told him no. And then he basically got mad at them and tried to rebuild it anyways, but his ring ran out of power, and he got so mad at them that he recharged his ring and then went and slaughtered all of the Guardians and all of the Green Lanterns. Woo! And he was so terrified because his entire family died when it exploded because Parallax destroyed his entire town. Yeah, he got so mad and filled with fear because he had nothing left that Parallax possessed him, and he became Parallax Jordan, whatever. I can't remember what they called him now, but he was like half Green Lantern, half Yellow Lantern, but he was possessed by Parallax. And he ended up getting kicked out because Kyle Rayner, one Guardian survived and went and found Kyle Rayner and made him the new Green Lantern. And then Kyle Rayner kicked him into a different universe. And then he found a different Hal Jordan who had to kill him and take his ring to rebuild the Guardian. It was insane. It was one of the coolest stories I'd ever read.
That sounds incredible. I kind of feel definitely Green Lantern is clearly underrated because I thought nothing really more of him. And I think I want to start a comic podcast now. I quit. I'm just kidding.
There's a really cool scene of him he's got, because after every Green Lantern he killed, he took their rings. So he's got 2 fists full of green rings, and Kilowog is saying there right before the Guardian. He's like, dude, don't do this. And Kilowog's like, I have to. And then he just uses all 10 of his rings to just slaughter Kilowog. It was insane.
Damn, he even had him on the thumbs.
Oh yeah, he was all decked out. He brass knuckle rings just
and toe pinky rings. Yeah, crazy with it.
Yeah.
Man, that's awesome. I don't know who would be my favorite hero if I really had to think about it, but
it's a tough question.
Mm-hmm.
I know hands down I loved, as far as villains go, aside from Joker, DC's Lobo was actually, and they did so little with him. His little movie of him versus Santa, I don't understand it. I don't understand why that was a thing. But Lobo is such a badass character, and they need to do more with Lobo.
Was Lobo considered a villain or an anti-hero? I can't remember.
I feel like he was kind of anti-hero because he kind of teeter-tottered both sides, similar to Deadpool, and that Deadpool's my favorite. So maybe that I'm super neutral. I can be good. I can be a super ass. So like I like my neutral folks.
Yeah, I it's not a surprise that Josh would have like Deadpool the best because you're kind of a dick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can be, absolutely. I mean, damn, I feel like I should have my Deadpool shirt on now.
That's awesome.
Right? Well, see, that's the thing with this show is we never really know where we're gonna go. We start with what we know, and then we tailor the show to you, and then we just kind of break out and we get into whatever we get into. We are gonna take a quick, short little break, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna ask you some really random ass questions.
Sounds great.
Yeah, awesome, man. Well, we will be right back.
All right. Hello and welcome to Talk Ag to Me, the podcast dedicated to improving ag literacy around the globe. I'm your host, Brennan Black.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Mindless Midnight Show. We still have Brendan here, and we are going to ask him some really weird, probably stupid questions, but it's fun, and that's what we do. So the first question I'm going to ask is, have you ever been pied in the face?
I haven't been pied in the face, but I did do a pudding eating contest when I was in like second grade, so they shoved a bowl of pudding in my face. I guess that counts.
I'll say it counts. I mean, I feel like that would taste better though than a pie.
It was very nice.
Yeah,
was that something like you just dove your face in, or they literally just shoved the bowl in your face and you just?
I don't remember. I think my mom might have been holding the bowl, and I just shoved my face into it, but she probably pushed it into my face, knowing her.
Dude, when I was like, I think I was like 6 years old. My older brother, who's 4 years older than me, it was my birthday, and this is gonna be funny just by itself. I wanted to have my birthday at McDonald's, and it happened. I had my birthday at McDonald's, and I was sitting there, and I had my cake, and my older brother walked by, boom, in the cake, and I cried like a little bitch. And I did not take it well. But yeah, awesome.
I'm so happy to say I've never had that happen to me.
Dude, there's actually a video on YouTube of this dude. He's got some big balls to do this, but he walks around with a pie, and he'll like just be like jauntily walking down the sidewalk, and he'll see somebody walking his opposite and just go bank and pie them in the face.
There's only certain states you can get away with that, not in Florida or Texas.
Yeah.
Oh no,
dude. He went in a workout gym, and there's somebody like doing the pull-up bar on the back, like you know how you put the bar behind you, like, and he like sets the pie down at their feet and starts doing jumping jacks in front of them, and then picks up the pie and just goes boop right in their face, dude.
Oh no.
So yeah, I thought of asking that question after thinking about that.
Before we carry on, have you ever done any pranks on anybody like that?
That's a good one.
Ooh. I wish I had. I'm not very creative when it comes to pranks. I'm really bad at pranking people. I don't think so. No, I can't think of any pranks I've done to that level. My pranks are usually like something simple, like I don't know, like hiding somebody's car keys or something stupid. Like I'm terrible at pranks.
Oh, hey, look under there, underwear. Ha! I made you say underwear.
Exactly.
You should try slashing their tires when they're having to go to work. I got you.
That's terrible. Don't do that. We don't need to tell you that. You're not mindless like us, clearly.
Yeah, he's really fucking smart. So have you ever fallen off of a ladder?
I have not fallen off of a ladder. I have fallen off of a trampoline multiple times.
Explain those. I'd love to hear some of those.
Those can get really bad too.
Yeah. I've had more trampoline injuries than I care to admit. I don't know. So when I was little, probably between the ages of like 3 and 10, we had this trampoline at my house because we used to live out in the country, so we could have trampolines without like neighbors. It didn't have like a net or anything. This is before they put nets on trampolines.
Right? Yeah, dude. Good old days.
And so like I remember my sister and I and her friends, we used to play like this game called like Dead Man or something like that. It's basically like Marco Polo but on a trampoline, which is a very bad idea.
So bad.
So
How do you call fish out of water?
Right. So yeah, I was walking because like they're supposed to jump around you so you don't know where they are, because like when they're jumping, like all the pressure is like throwing your balance off, so you can't tell where they are. So they're jumping in circles around me. I'm trying to see if I can grab one of them, and I walk straight off the trampoline. Nobody decides to tell me I'm gonna fall off or catch me or anything. They just let me fall off. I was like 5 or 6. And I just bust my knee open on the cement, and because it was like a dirt lot, but there was like one cement slab right next to it. And I just so happened to fall on that one cement slab and bust my knee open.
Oh my god, that's rough.
Yeah, so that was one of them. Remember there was another time that one of her friends was jumping, and this friend was kind of, we didn't like it when she hung out, but she was kind of just there. And I don't remember what game we were playing. We were playing some kind of game, and I was really, really small because like I was a small kid for like most of my life. Like I was like 4'3" until I was like 13. And so I was like 4'9" until I was like 13 or whatever. And I didn't hit my growth spurt until high school, but I was a really small kid. She like bounced near me, and I freaking flew off that trampoline and landed on my bare feet on, again, the cement. I don't know why I kept falling on the cement thing. I fell on the cement thing again. I was okay. People were killing me. So that was another time. I remember one time I walked off, and I had this little like toy slide that led up to the trampoline. That's how I used to get onto it. I used to like climb up the stairs, or I'd climb up the slide and get onto it. I remember one time we were playing Dead Man. I just like walked off the side and slipped off of my slide and fell down it.
Oh my god.
I had some weird trampoline injuries. I remember like one time I was bouncing with my dad, and he bounced me like really, really high. And as I was falling, I hit my head on my own knee and busted my lip open. So I had some weird stuff going on at that trampoline.
So when's the last time you've been on a trampoline then?
It's been a long time. I was like,
good. Keep it that way.
I was like 10 or 12 or 11 or something like that. I was at a friend's house, and this is when I moved to the city, and he had a trampoline, and we were bouncing. And again, I hurt myself, and so I didn't get back onto the trampoline. We were bouncing and doing flips because that's what stupid kids do when they're on trampolines.
Oh yeah.
And I did a flip, and I like tore a ligament in my abdomen, and I couldn't breathe for a solid like 2 minutes. I was like freaking out, and I finally got my breath back. And I couldn't hardly like walk straight. Like the doctor, I thought like I messed something up. The doctor was like, "You should have a torn ligament. You should have to take it easy for like a week, and you'll be fine." And I was freaking out.
Holy shit! You know what's really terrifying about
extreme trampolining?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I jumped on the trampoline for about 5 minutes. Can never have kids again. So what's crazy to me about those types of injury, or any injury really, like that can go from innocent to really bad, is because I knew a guy. He's an elderly man now, and he is in a wheelchair, and he's been in a wheelchair since he was 16. And what happened? Trampoline? No,
he trained him how to play dodgeball.
Yeah. No, he was unloading. And this is actually kind of interesting because it has to do with agriculture. He was unloading feed for cows off of a truck. Mm-hmm. And he tripped and fell off of the tailgate and landed right on his backbone.
Oh.
And it paralyzed him from the waist down for the rest of his life.
Jeez, that's insane.
What's crazy, yeah, we go from like happy and laughing, and now we're like, oh man. No, but like what's crazy is because when it happened, it took like a day for the nerve to damage, because after it happened, he was okay and like walking around, and then the next day he could never walk again.
Wow.
Like shock. It was an initial shock, maybe.
Yeah, man.
Like the brain couldn't even process the amount, the level of what happened.
Like the adrenaline was keeping his legs going or something.
Yeah,
crazy.
So yeah, it's scary. Like what can happen. Like that concrete could have really, really fucked you up.
Makes you wonder what people could truly accomplish and overcome if, like, you could probably come out of a vegetable state, maybe if like
it's happened. I read a story
really?
one time about a guy who was like full body paralyzed in a coma, and the doctors basically like told his wife and his family that he would never like move again, he'd never walk again. And he was like a TED talk, and he actually like described how he could hear him, but he couldn't respond because his whole full body was paralyzed. But he kept like thinking in his head, "That's not gonna happen. I'm gonna walk again." And it took like 2 years or something like that of him like telling himself that over and over and over again in his head, and eventually he like twitched, and then he like started to move more and more of his body, and like once he was finally able to like be conscious, then they let him like stand up, and he was like doing physical therapy. It took him a while, but yeah, he started walking again, and he like
holy shit,
That's creepy as shit, dude. Like
that is crazy.
got almost back to normal.
That's the one thing. Like I fear doctors. I fear the idea of surgery because I hear those stories of like, oh, I was put to sleep, but I felt everything. I was like awake, or like the outer body experience where like they're looking down on being like, dude, fuck all of that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a firm no. That's that Pixar movie, right?
Yeah.
So I tried to watch it and
Wait, which one?
The new
Soul.
Pixar movie.
So it's the new one. Yeah, I haven't watched it yet.
I got 20 minutes in, and then my daughter was just throwing a fit. I couldn't hear anything. I was like, all right, we'll try another time.
Put your daughter outside, man. Come on.
Dude, I tried, but I couldn't find the leash.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, I guess that makes sense. You know what?
We're kidding, by the way.
Yeah. It's funny because in our regular show, whenever we don't have a guest, we don't ever say we're joking. We say some really stupid shit and just.
Oh yeah, we really go along with this straight face and all, and then I don't really think about it till after. Like, man, somebody's gonna send the cops here. They're like, cops.
We didn't say we were kidding. I just said that I threw my son out a window, and Josh was like, "Oh yeah, you did that last week," and I'm like, "Yeah, well, it is what it is. You know, he's being a shit." Like, and then there's no like, just kidding, never, but whatever. You know what would be really horrifying is this man that was in this state where he could he knew what was going on but couldn't do anything. If they were talking about like, we're gonna pull the plug, we're gonna do it, you know, this day.
Oh shit, dude, I would be like freaking out. No, thank you.
Then it's like a deadline where like they said in 1 week. They said in 1 week they're gonna pull the plug, and you're like fucking Twitch, fucking
Right.
You twitch so hard you just plop face down on the floor off the bed. Like, well,
all right, well, we just need to pull the plug now.
Dude, that would be like, honestly, thinking about that, kind of making my taint shrivel up. I don't like that idea.
I think there's a movie called Awake where that's a thing. Like, there's a movie about that where the guy is like, he knows what's going on, and I never saw it, but
there is one, and since Brendan, you're a fan of Ryan Reynolds, maybe you've seen it. I believe it's called 6 Feet Under. It's with him where he's buried alive, or maybe it's called Buried Alive. Fuck, I don't remember. But most of the movie is like black screen and just a tiny little coffin and him inside of it. And honestly, the movie gave me a lot of anxiety.
That's
like,
crazy.
Wow. And it's not boring?
No, not at all, dude. It was intense for me. I was like, oh my God. Like, cause I was thinking about like, I fully felt like I may be in that position one day or something. Yeah, and like, that's what I guess that was just my train of thought going into the movie. Like, oh shit, what if this happens to me? And
I couldn't do that. I've got like bad claustrophobia. I would freak out.
Dude, me too. I fucking hate it. And so like, I was seeing him in this box and I'm like, I don't even think I would want to film anything like this unless I was like, it was green screen and I was like really out in the open. Okay, fine. But man, like,
man, y'all would not do very well as plumbers because I'm in little small crawl spaces all the time.
Hell no.
There was one time where there was one time whenever I had to get into a crawl space and I had to go like fix a pipe on the other side of the house. The only way to get there was to crawl under the house from like point A, which is like over 100 feet away. And I had to army crawl under the wood. And then I had to like hand dig underneath one of the wooden beams so I could like slither my way under, like squeeze in between the dirt and the wood to get
Oh,
That's
that
crazy.
even for me, I was like, this really sucks.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say fuck that.
Yeah, no,
I'd
same.
be like, if you want this job done properly, like I'm gonna end up going down there and I'm gonna be passed out dead. You're gonna have to extract me. It's gonna be a whole ordeal. Send somebody else. Like it's better off. 'Cause,
Yeah,
dude, I can't do that. I went under a portable one time to install ductwork and run new lines because it was a fresh install at Disney because it was brand new portable. And dude, I hated it. Like we peeled this like lattice back, and I'm like looking down there, and I'm like,
I gotta go back. I gotta go in that. Yeah.
like,
That's
yeah,
insane.
you know, I'm not saying like I'm macho, but I'm also not like too worried about too much. But yeah, I wasn't about it.
Yeah,
and
no,
like
I couldn't do that.
I went down there and I'm just like looking around constantly as if I'm in the woods and I can't see it. Like I see everything down there. It wasn't like too dirty or like too tight, but like I was just like, man, something's gonna come at me, like brown recluse, a black widow. I might die down here.
Hey, I need to post. We need to make on our Discord server for the Mindless Morning Show a folder where we can share it with anybody, because I can post some videos of some of the crawl spaces I've been in, and y'all would be like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, dude, I wish
Sometimes I'll take video while I'm down there and be like, "Yep, there's my boot," and it's like lodged up against like a rock, and like there's like no room to move.
I wish I still had my photo. I could find my photos or something from my days at Disney. There was a boiler room. Have you guys ever seen the movie Silent Hill?
It's been a long time.
Like ash on the wall, everything's peeling and shit. So I walk into a boiler room and I swear I like fucking walked into the realm Silent Hill. Like shit was peeling off the wall. It was just so dark, barely any lights, and like it was just eerily quiet aside from like all the machinery. Like there was like this, like, I don't know, this feel about it. And I was like, it was the first time I ever walked into this particular boiler room, and I was looking around and I was like, man, this is creepy. And it's like really big. And I had to go work on one unit and change out these UV lights and things like that. So I'm doing that, and I swear, like I'm hearing noises left and right, like not ordinary noises. And I like keep looking around. I'm like, I don't like being in this room. So I quickly finished what I had to do, and I got the fuck out. And anytime I ever seen a work order with that room, I was like, yo, you need to hand that to somebody else. Like that room was straight up fucking scary to me. Like purely Silent Hill. It just had that feel.
That's
like,
crazy.
I didn't like it.
So Brendan, back to one of our questions. And here's the thing. We have a shitload of these. There's no way in hell we're getting to all of them. We just kind of roll them over and add to them. So we're not in any sort of like, we need to answer all of these. Like, it doesn't fucking matter.
Okay.
But when is the last time that you've witnessed a fist fight, if you have at all?
Ooh.
Or have been in one.
Or have been fighting one of your cows, maybe.
Oh, I've been in plenty of those. I've never been in a fist fight. I have fought a few animals. That's a different story.
Hell yeah.
Kangaroo?
I have never fought a kangaroo. I'm not sure I would survive that one.
I totally want to try it.
I hear about people getting. So I had Australian foreign exchange students that stayed at my house for like a week, and they actually like talked about, because they never fought kangaroos. They shoot those things and eat them. Like they're like squirrels. Like they're pets.
What?
No way.
There's so many of them, and they just cause so many issues that they just like shoot them and eat them. Like they're literally just like they're just pests. Like
I'm going to Australia,
dude. For real. Well, first off, now I really want to know how kangaroo tastes.
I do too.
And second off, it sounds like it won't be frowned upon if I just go out in the street of Australia and beat the shit out of one if I can, or like try and fight one.
Like they talk about like one of their dads got like the shit beaten out of him by a kangaroo, I guess. Like I wouldn't want to be anywhere near one, but I would shoot one. I mean, yeah.
No, I would have a hard time unless it's like sitting there like trying to square up like. like really trying hard and like it looks super fucking jacked, I might shoot it. But like if it's just like kind of chilling, I'd be like, all right, come on, Rue, I got you.
You'll take the little runt wimp one.
Yeah, I gotta ease my way into like kangaroo boxing, man. It's a tough sport to get into.
It's gonna bounce on its tail and double barrel you in the head.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking. It's probably just gonna knock my fucking head clean off my neck. Like my spine's not gonna be able to take the fucking pressure. It's just
like, and Josh is 0-1 in kangaroo boxing, and he's dead. So,
yeah, I seriously though would honestly probably try it because why not?
Yeah, I mean, why not? You only have your daughter that needs you around, but you know.
It ain't even about that, man. I'll have a gun just in case it gets out of hand. In case I gotta stand my ground if it's getting too hot.
Yeah. All right, you win. Boosh.
Yeah.
Just knocks you on the ground, like, okay.
So then I'm assuming the last time you probably saw a fist fight was whenever a lot of us have is in like high school probably.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if I've ever even I've seen fights in high school. Yeah, that's probably the last time I saw one. I mean, there weren't a whole lot of fist fights going on in my high school. There was a few. Most of the time it was girls though, for some reason. Like most of the girls would like one girl would grab another girl's hair and pour it down to the ground and they would like beat the shit out of each other. The guys usually just got along. I mean, like if they didn't, they just didn't hang out together. They didn't really pick on each other a whole lot.
They're more sophisticated then, because my high school was stupid with people just like
my school every day almost. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will say, most of the fights all revolved around a girl. It was always because of a girl.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what we were talking about our I don't remember, the New Year's episode where so Brendan, 2 weeks ago I witnessed a fist fight at work.
Oh.
Yeah. It was. I won't get into it because it's a long story, and I told the whole story on the previous episode about that, and basically that kind of made me want to ask that question because I saw this fight like 2 weeks ago and it's crazy. But in high school, I saw a fight where they got into an argument about which sport was better, football or basketball, and they argued about it, and then it went into the hallway, and they fought so hard there was blood on the walls and the floor from their fights, like over a sport. Like, okay,
that's insane.
Why not?
Hey, man.
Yeah, so.
Talk shit, let's go.
Yeah, so holy crap. So our last episode was about board games. So I guess aside from
now that you bring that up, yeah, I meant to bring this up. How much did you get into Yu-Gi-Oh? Because that's a big thing for me. I fucking love, like to this day I still play Yu-Gi-Oh.
Okay, so I got into Yu-Gi-Oh when I was around 12. I still have all my cards, all my collections, all my decks, all that kind of stuff. I got into it because a couple of my friends were playing it a lot during break or recess or whatever. Because that was like before that I had Pokemon cards, but we always just kind of like play like Pokemon War. So like if I play down the strongest one, then I win kind of thing.
Yeah, that's basically the only way I ever really did it because I never took the time to learn that.
Right, and then we did the same thing with Digimon cards. So we didn't have very many Digimon cards, so we just kind of played
Digimon. Whoa, that took me back.
right.
But yeah, so I played the Yu-Gi-Oh TCG when I got into middle school. And I had a couple of friends that taught me how to play, and we had like the local library would host like tournaments, so we would go there and we would play like tournaments there. I didn't get very far because I wasn't very good, but I did have a decent deck. I actually still have my deck like right here.
Oh my god, this is my like one of my favorite guests right now.
Yeah, dude.
Oh shit, he's got binders.
Damn.
I've got binders. I've got tins. I've got.
So
everything.
like, I never, and I hate saying this because man, I regret it so badly. I never saved like all the cards I had back then, but once I had like adult money, I was like, hey, I can get back into this hardcore. And so like, I went to eBay, dude, and I was buying like those bulk packages of like fucking that box of 5,000 cards or more.
Adult money. I love that.
Dude, because I was just buying them left and right. Like I probably have like well over like 20,000-30,000 cards. And then I just started going through every single one of them, making deck after deck after deck with like my buddy. And oh man. And then, so I got back into it well after the XYZs or XZs, I guess is what they call it in the show.
Oh yeah, these guys, the
yeah,
white cards.
And then the synchros, the white cards, and then the pendulums, and I was like, whoa, what the fuck? And so I started learning those mechanics, and I was like, okay. So I made one pendulum deck. It's like the carnival animal. I can't remember their names right now.
I have to interrupt.
The Performa Pals.
I have to interrupt, Josh.
What?
I have no idea what we're talking about, but I'm happy.
It's fine. You're good. I'm glad you are. Now sit there and shut up and have fun. No, just kidding. Okay. It's because, this whole COVID thing, I haven't been able to have my buddy over and duel. So like I've been like sweating it. So we're going to have like a webcam duel or something one day,
Well, we could probably duel on Duel Links. I think Duel Links is still open, or Duel Network or whatever it's called.
Don't I have to actually have cards, like build up a whole array of cards by playing a campaign or something?
You might. I don't remember I haven't played it in a long time. But I'll have to check in on it. But yeah, I haven't played in a while, so I'd have to get kind of a refresher on how to play, but I still have my deck on me. It's a fusion synchro deck, so it's a warrior.
I see dragons.
Looking at the cards.
Dragon.
All right, well, I have a Buster Blader deck, so what's
all right.
I'll take those dragons. Yeah, that's a counter dragon for you, Nick, and then all these listeners that have totally tuned us out by now, I'm sure.
Well, you guys know nothing about that Cabbage Patch trading card game. That's some crazy shit, man. You get
Cabbage Patch? No, but Garbage Pail.
Garbage Pail. That's like the vault of memory right there. Like. Straight. I will say though, I did play the Game Boy game, trading card game, the Pokemon trading card game, the Game Boy game.
Yep.
That was epic. I loved that, man. I even played that like a year ago on my phone with an emulator, and I played crap out of that. I beat it all over again, and I was just like, this is so great.
I never played that particular game growing up, just because, like I said, I collected all the cards, but I had no interest in playing whatsoever.
Me too.
And my girlfriend's brother, all of a sudden, like, because he collects cards, and he's like, hey, I want to start learning how to play like competitively. And I was like, okay, I'll play with you. So I made a couple decks, and I kind of played with him, and then now I'm hooked on it, obviously. So and he wants to learn how to play Yu-Gi-Oh now, so I'm having to bring out my Yu-Gi-Oh cards and relearn so I can teach him, and then we could play. So I'm all about card games.
Dude, I'm all excited. Like,
I can see it. Josh is super amped to play. That's awesome.
Dude. Because my buddy that does play, he doesn't have a webcam or anything. He doesn't do things like this. So like I couldn't like try and set up like a chat where we just sit there and play if we could.
I got my Pokemon decks, got my Magic decks.
Man.
See, I tried to get into Magic, and I didn't like the whole mechanic of having to have the land cards, the like your element cards to be able to do things. I like that about Yu-Gi-Oh, where I can place that damn card down. Well, granted, if the stars are right, but that's the only stipulation. Otherwise, I can play the card and do its effects regardless. And I don't know. That was kind of one thing that just turned me off from Magic. But also, I did start Magic very young.
Yeah, that's fair. And Magic's a hard game to get into when you're young. I tried learning it when I was little because I really wanted to get into it, and it was just really hard for me to learn. But it is a bit more complicated than Yu-Gi-Oh is, I would say. But I think it's more fun. I wouldn't say it's more fun than Yu-Gi-Oh. It's different because it's almost like Dungeons and Dragons, but cards. Because you can kind of like tell a story with your cards, and like you can manipulate the words say a lot. Like if the words say something super vague, you can make it mean whatever you want it to mean, basically, and then you can just kind of mess around with the rules, and it's really fun to mess around with.
Yeah, and I will say though, I mean, I got back into it like because I would go to this one comic book store by my place, and if I had spent a certain amount of money, and I mainly go there to buy like stupid little statues or action figures, like you can see back over there. So I easily spent the money, and then they're like, "Oh, hey, we got like all these starter packs for free that you can have for Magic," and I was like, "Huh, okay." And so I was like, "Well, how much do I need to spend to get more?" And so basically, I spent whatever I needed to get more, so I can give them to my buddy. And then I was like, "All right."
So it's like a drug. Like your first
Pretty
few
much.
are free, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like I got my deck, I got my buddy a deck, and I was like, hey, let's pick this up. I want to try it again because like that's when we were older. I liked the concept, the cards, I liked the idea of everything with Magic of the Gathering, but I never really invested the time at a young age to learn it, and I did regret it. But
yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. I'm all for getting back into Yu-Gi-Oh, and I'm gonna need someone to play again. So,
Oh, this is awesome.
Don't get me chubby up now.
that'll be
I'm
twice this time.
blushing. Yeah, no, for sure. I'm totally stoked, and I'm sorry if my buddy's listening and get a webcam. Fuck it.
Oh yeah.
So,
there you go. Here's my finish.
When you would play, did you ever have those friends that would sit there and debate like the fucking terminology and how cards effects were worded?
Yes.
Okay. Because I had one buddy, man, I couldn't, like, we almost couldn't play a fucking card without him being like, but wait, what if it means something like that? Like, no. Like, you have really bad, like, comprehension skills.
Yeah. No, I had one friend that we always had to tell him, like, dude, I promise you, this is what it means. Stop overthinking it. It's a freaking card game.
Yes. Oh my God. Okay, so maybe Yu-Gi-Oh causes that mass hysteria. That's funny.
Awesome. Y'all want to know something weird about Digimon though? They had a video game, a Digimon video game for, I believe it was PlayStation, where you could get new Digimon by going and getting a random CD from anywhere, like a music CD, like not related to PlayStation whatsoever. And you'd put it in the PlayStation and it would read the disc and it would either give you a free Digimon or it said try another disc.
What?
Yes.
I have never heard of that.
Yes.
That sounds fucking insane.
It was
awesome.
insane, dude. Me and my friend had a.
That sounds like marketing of different brands before marketing of different brands. Like they didn't market it; it was just there.
I don't know if it was just. I don't know how. I don't know if it was just a random generator. Like it read a disc, and then it just either did or didn't. I don't know. But I remember we tried the same disc twice, and it didn't give us one. But then we tried it like. And my friend's parents had a huge CD collection, so we spent like all night going through CDs and like getting to the menu where it said put in your disc now, and you put the disc in and you close it and it would say reading, and then it would say like you've unlocked, and it was like a Digimon.
Huh. That's crazy.
It was insane. So that's definitely something to.
I'm gonna have to look into that because that's really mind blowing. I will say the Skylanders thing.
Oh, I love Skylanders.
Cool. So I never like actually played it, but my sister had like fucking every single one of them, and I thought like the idea of it was really cool. Like you just put an action figure there, and there he is on the screen. I was like, I can get behind this.
I remember when Skylanders first came out. I was in 5th grade. I was on a bus on my way to school, and my friends and I were talking about it because the first trailer had just dropped, and one of my friends had a phone, and so we all watched the trailer on his phone, and it was like the coolest thing I'd ever seen. Like that was the first time that I had ever seen like anything outside of the controller interacting with a game, and it was just awesome. And I remember when I think I got it for Christmas, or I got it because I got it for some reason, and my sister and I were playing it, and we got to a level, and like we were almost done with the level, and we both lost all of our Skylanders. My mom was at Target. We called her and asked her to buy us one just so we could finish the level. And so she brought us home one, and we just slammed it on the portal and finished the level so we could recharge.
Dang.
That's awesome.
Because with that one, if you died, you could just switch in a new one and you were good to go as long as it was, not dead. And so all of ours were dead. So we were like, we need one more. And we called mom and she brought us home one, and then we slammed it on and we finished. It was awesome.
That's crazy.
That's a good mom right there, man.
Yes.
Shout out to the mom.
Yeah.
That is kick ass, man. Well, man, it's been really awesome having you on the show. It's been really fun. We're gonna wrap it up here in just a minute. Just wanted to thank you again for coming on, and everybody listening. Check out his podcast too, Talk Ag to Me, and you can learn about agriculture in ways that you didn't think you even knew. Like me, I didn't know like it was fishing and hunting and all that other shit. I had no idea. I thought it was like you put water on the ground and the thing will grow.
Photosynthesis, our buttholes, and we're good to go.
I learned something, and that's perfect because we're Mindless Morning Show. We don't know a whole lot about a lot, but we know something about some shit. So, like Josh, you asked that good question about the Monsanto cartel, and that was cool.
I do want to say, like, it has been a pleasure to have you and have somebody put some mindful insight, and also to find a new Yu-Gi-Oh friend, hopefully a virtual Yu-Gi-Oh friend. But I do want to ask you before we sign off, is there any message you want to give out to the listeners? Anything about your podcast, links, anything?
Yeah, for sure. So first of all, just, thanks again for having me on here. It's really been a pleasure. It's been a lot of fun, and you guys are welcome on my podcast anytime you like. I'm always looking for new guests.
I'm going to come up with a lot of agriculture questions.
We're gonna talk growing weed. Just kidding.
Yeah. So yeah, you guys are welcome anytime. I'm always looking for new guests with good questions. But besides that, you guys can find my podcast anywhere you find podcasts. I'm on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all that stuff. Anywhere on social media at Talk Ag to Me. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of that. I don't really turn down anyone for my episodes. I like having, a large variety of different people on there, and, I like having people on to ask good questions, and I want people who actually want to learn, and are genuine about the conversation, and not so much about, just getting a message across or just fighting. I actually am trying to have people on there that are opposing, things that I say, just so I can hear, their side of things, but all of them either want to fight or they, I invite them on and then they just happen to cancel on me last second. It's been a fun project. I'm really, really glad that I have people who are actually interested in it. So it's really nice to hear that from you guys. But I just, encourage anyone who has a question about agriculture just to do your research before trusting the first thing you hear, even if it's from me. Just take everything I say with a grain of salt. Trust that I had done my research, but that I'm not an expert, and make sure you fact check everything I say, because I don't want what I say to be taken as gospel and I end up being wrong on something, because it does happen. I'm human. But so I think that's all I have to say. So thanks you guys so much for having me on here. I hope I can come back sometime.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
oh, dude,
man.
Yes. So one of our slogans for this show is everyone has a funny story to tell, and we want to hear them all. So there are going to be things that you could share that are hilarious that we have not got into. So everyone will be coming back. Like this
Awesome.
This is a freaking revolving door. So
And I am more than happy to come on Talk Ag to Me after you do your research on if the cartel's really on that avocados, and we'll start talking some more.
we can talk about crimes that have to do with agriculture.
Oh, ag crime is a whole thing.
Boom!
Ooh.
Yeah, see.
Now I'm interested.
Yeah. So
for sure. Let me know anytime. I'm down.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool, man. Well, Brendan, thank you again, man. And it's been awesome. And we hope you have a good rest of your evening.
Not just thank you for coming on our show. It's been a pleasure having you, but thank you for being you, man. Like, it's people like you that we definitely fucking need on this earth right now. So more than ever.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I definitely appreciate that.
All right, man. You have a good one.
You too.
Take it easy, man.
You too.
Agriculture is one of the oldest and most important building blocks of civilization, and was invented perhaps 10,000 years ago. Though agriculture is a billion-dollar industry in America alone, only about 2% of the population lives on a farm. Modern American farmers employ a variety of tools, vehicles, and advanced computer technology to care for their crops.